inside at last.
Welcome, fellow TEFers. Again, here, some new content. I'm on vacation. I have time to do things. So let's dive in to the deep dive of NIGHTDIVE Studios. They did an interview podcast thing a couple of weeks ago, and where they were discussing the Thief Remaster. And that is pretty interesting, I think. And let's see what they are saying, and let's see what I'm saying to that. Let's start. Oh, wait. Why is. Okay.
Hello.
For your information, this is not a beer, not a full. It's a zero alcohol beer. It's a Radler with blood orange. Do you call that blood orange? And it's very tasty, a very nice summer drink. So cheers from Switzerland. So that's Daniel Grayson, Stephen Kick, and Locke Vincent. I think he's the interviewer, as far as I know.
Hello and welcome back to NIGHTDIVE Studios Deep Dive. My name is Locke Vincent, and today I am joined by studio head.
He starts the introduction like me, and today I'm joined by Jake and Seth.
Stephen Kick. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, Locke.
And longtime producer and fellow NIGHTDIVE veteran, Daniel Grayson. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing all right, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I am so excited because today we are talking about Thief, the Dark Project, which was revealed at the PC Game Show that NIGHTDIVE's remastering. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit of the history? Did you play this as a kid, Steven? Like, what's your history with Thief, the Dark Project?
Yeah, definitely. I played it not soon after it came out, and that was mostly due to the fact that
So basically, they are starting. They have stolen our concept, like new guests. So they explain how they got into the Thief series. So yeah, good job, guys. It's a proven concept.
I had been introduced to System Shock 2 not long before that. And
It's exactly how it happened to me. I think I played No, I played Thief 1 and then System Shock 2 came out. But yeah, I was consuming both of them back in the 90s.
it was a friend of mine at school who came in and basically just handed me the big box and said, "You got to play this." And that was, of course, after I spent like an hour waxing poetic about how great Half-Life was.
Right.
He's like, "You haven't played anything yet. You got to try this." And so that set me down.
Yeah, that's interesting because everyone was on a Half-Life back then. And I didn't get it. And I remember that I was getting to a friend and I was bringing my System Shock 2 CD. And of course, he saw the pictures on the back of the jewel case and he thought it's a shooter. So we installed it and I told him how great it is. And then we played it and played it and played it. And after a while, he says, like, when do I finally get to shoot somebody? And he was totally not a fan of this. And I could imagine that maybe System Shock, from the way it looks, on screenshots, that people maybe they had wrong expectations. And of course, if you then compare it to Half-Life, which is instantly, action, yeah, then maybe it was a bad timing because of Half-Life for Thief and System Shock 2. Maybe.
Basically that path of understanding and appreciating everything that Looking Glass had done.
Absolutely. And Daniel, how about you? You were showing us your big box earlier.
Yes. Yeah, I actually started backwards with them, actually. I remember it being about 2005. I wasn't really a big PC gamer until about maybe 2003, 2002 era, but I myself worked backwards through the series. I still have my box copies. I actually started playing Thief 3.
Oh, wow.
Yes, somewhere in my, I don't know, I have that box as well. Was such an amazing feeling to buy this. I remember it was after school. I was pre-ordering it because, of course, I thought that everybody wants this game, so I have to order it so they have a copy under the table for me. And I went into the store and picked it up, paid for it, and then I wanted to go back on my bike. And the minute I left this whole, it was a kind of a mall, it rained the hell from the skies. And yeah, so I came home totally soaked, but still with my wet clothes. I started the PC, started to install this game, and when the installation was running, then I was changing my clothes.
Deadly Shadows, and yeah, that was just such a mind-blowing game. But because it was just called Thief Deadly Shadows, I didn't really know that it was part of a trilogy.
That's actually a good point.
So then, yeah, I kind of worked backwards. I went and got my copy here, got Thief 2.
That must be the American version, because I think this shaped with a strange shape, I think that was British, or because in Germany we also had this box style, and of course it didn't say Thief, it said Dark Project 2. It was called Thief with Deadly Shadows then, also in Germany and the rest of Europe, I think.
Nice.
Which was just so much fun. But then couldn't find a copy of Thief Gold, and any copies I did find, they weren't in the greatest condition. But I did manage to get a copy of the
Beautiful.
Trapezoid.
Trapezoid, actually, yeah, that's the name. It's a great shape. I like it. I'm pretty jealous of that.
the fabled trapezoid box.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic box. And yeah, still
Amazing.
have this. This is, yeah, picked
That's
this up so
amazing.
long ago. But that's how I got familiar with these games, as well as,
And he starts to show off, like making everyone jealous, or at least me.
System Shock 2, and then working back to the original System Shock. So I'm a bit, backwards when it comes to that, but yeah, doesn't really take away from my enjoyment of just.
The reason why I wanted to rewatch this is I was listening to it on the phone, on YouTube Premium. You listen to this, and I sometimes heard, of course, the name Steven and Daniel. I didn't realize that they were talking to a certain Steven and a certain Daniel in this format. I don't know. So every time I heard Daniel or Steven, I thought they are talking about Steven Russell and Daniel Tron. So let's find out how many Daniels are actually in the discussion and how many Stevens. Let's see.
Just experiencing these games, just how incredible they are.
Yeah. If not the most requested game, Steven, what made NIGHTDIVE want to take on Thief: The Dark Project?
I mean, Daniel was the second employee, if you want to call him that, from the very beginning. And I think, once we had done System Shock 2 and he came on to help out with future projects, he pretty much asked me every day, I think for the last 13 years, hey, can we do Thief next?
Okay.
It's been on the to-do list for quite some time. And, I love to talk about how NIGHTDIVE has evolved over the last decade plus. From doing these simple kind of re-releases of DOS games using free emulators for the most part, to porting PC-only games to all the consoles and all the other platforms out there, and them being major, tier 1 IPs in a lot of ways. And I think it was just a matter of time before we got the attention of, IDOS Montreal, and they saw the work that we had done on System Shock and the love and the care and the passion that really went into preserving those, and again, kind of presenting them for a new audience. And they saw what we did and they approached us with Thief, and that was a day worth celebrating.
I think that's actually good, if a publisher or someone who owns rights to a certain product comes to you because of your former work. Because, there are many porting studios and stuff like that. Like, for example, the Oblivion remaster was done by a typical studio that do ports and these support studios, I would call them port and support studios. And I think NIGHTDIVE has this exclusive image for a good reason, that they are not a typical porting studio. They are they are the remaster studio. They are able to create remasters of classics with a lot of love and dedication and respect to the original work, and with a feeling for the communities, as far as I know. And I think we can be very happy that Thief also got to them, and not some typical studio in the East or something, where they just do their work, what's asked of them. So here's some dedication behind that.
Absolutely. For people who haven't played Thief, can you, Daniel, can you give me a general overview of what it is? Immersive sim, of course, but paint me a picture of what you're doing in Thief.
So you are this. You start off as just a nobody. Like you're a kid on the streets. You're hungry. You're looking for any opportunity to just kind of make it in life. And then one day you spot someone, and that person recognizes that you have this talent, this ability of being able to sneak up on somebody who wasn't wanting to be discovered. And that person then realizes that you have talent. And then you get drafted into this organization called the Keepers. But something happens somewhere along the way, and Garrett eventually splits with the Keepers, but realizing that he can use those skills that he's built up while at the Keepers to forge his own path and go his own way as a thief. And so you start off with relatively small mundane jobs, breaking into fancy mansions and stealing their fancy jewels and things like that. And the game really does give you a whole load of tools. It puts you in an environment, and it'll give you all the tools that you need to accomplish your goal, and just says, go for it. We're not going to tell you how you do those objectives. Just as long as you manage to do them, we're fine with that. And
I think that's a good condensed overview of Thief.
that's really where a lot of the enjoyment, I think, for the series comes from as a whole, just giving you the ability to just express yourself in your own way with those tools. So that's what you can expect when you go into Thief the Dark Project, or any of the Thief trilogy overall. Is just that ability to just have complete player freedom, and you decide what you want to do.
Chef's kiss that he just says the trilogy, because the freedom in the 2014 installment is in no way comparable. I think even Thief Deadly Shadows has already, because of the smaller levels and stuff, not so much freedom, but I think he knows what he does.
Yeah, I am.
They didn't mention the mobile phone port from Thief Deadly Shadows, which is a shame. Awesome game.
A big fan of a big theme in the game, a big mechanic is light and shadow, sound, the 3D audio. It was a game pioneering that. Being able to hear something down the hallway. Water arrows. We'd never seen water arrows before, being able to take out torches with that. Do you guys have a favorite tool or gadget in the game, Steven?
I mean, it's the blackjack for me.
Okay, yeah.
Good guy.
Boom.
There's nothing more satisfying than just sneaking up on somebody and like, hey, what's that?
Clonk.
And it's that whole combination of it just coming down and the body on the floor, and then the little icon that pops up when you're like carrying their body.
Yeah, he's totally right, and that is the official way to play Thief.
Yeah, I like the extended animation of the guards falling over. They flourish it very well, and when I was recording for the trailer, I was just like, oh yeah, this is good. I love this. How about you, Daniel? Do you have a favorite tool or gadget?
Oh, There's so many. I mean, you have the water arrows that you mentioned for putting out lights and other things. You have moss arrows for making tiled surfaces quieter to walk upon. When you're in some of the undead missions, there's nothing more satisfying than blowing a zombie up with a fire arrow. I always find that they're
Oh yeah, and then with that sound of the little body pieces flying around and landing.
the very satisfying just explosion, and you watch all the bits of the zombie just splat out all over the place. It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, flash bombs, if you're in a pinch, if you're being chased, just drop a flash bomb and the guy behind you is not going to be able to see for a good 10 seconds. So yeah, stuff like that. There's a tool for every situation. And yeah, there's a whole load of others as well in the game.
Absolutely. You know, I'm just thinking of Thief and yeah, for people that grew up in the 90s there and played games, because this came out in 98. Um, do you guys think it deserved a little bit more recognition, or do you think it has its place? Like, what's your feeling on Thief in the pantheon of things? Because, you know, we have stealth games, and that's kind of its own genre, but yeah, what's your gut reaction on when you think of Thief as someone who's played it? It's like, oh yeah, it's a pillar, but yeah, do you guys think it deserved more recognition?
He has a way of asking simple questions the way I do it. Like he initiates the basic question, then he talks a lot about what happened and then he repeats the initial question again. And I think that is a pattern I also do. I think, but for me, it's more because of the language barrier. But it's nice to see that that's maybe a style of interviewing.
That's a really tough question. I mean, obviously, anything that Looking Glass did, I think, deserves
Mhm.
more praise and another look at it, and an appreciation for what it is they accomplished.
Yeah.
There was a conversation I had with Warren Spector not too long ago about some of the games that they're working on now, and his whole philosophy was, "I'm not going to work on something unless it's doing something new that no one's
Yeah.
ever done before."
Yeah.
And
Okay, and then Thick as Thieves came out. I mean, it has done something that no one ever done before to make co-op not fun.
that really struck me because when you look back at the games that Looking Glass and even Origin Systems were responsible for back then, they really were trailblazers in a lot of ways, in a lot of respects, whether that be mechanics, design, story, any of those things that had never been really touched before. And I think Thief is a really great example where the whole thing, like you said, it's based around light and sound and being true to what the character is. You're not a combatant. You're not able to really go in and fight your way out of a situation. It might give you momentary respite, but only enough to turn tail and run as fast as
Mhm.
you can. So it's just interesting to see how many people really love and appreciate that game, and how many people don't know about it but love something like Dishonored, right?
Right.
Which is like it's almost a spiritual successor to Thief.
What's really interesting, or what Dana Nightingale said on one of the episodes she was on, that most of the Dishonored people in the studio were more into Metal Gear Solid, and that she always has to hold up the flag for Thief, and later probably Skaki as well. Um, yeah, it's nice to hear the recognition, because what I heard a lot is that nowadays young developers, they do not know a lot of the history because they haven't been alive at that time, and uh, that yeah, some of the 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 veterans of the gaming industry uh, don't get recognition as they deserve.
Or even some of the Splinter Cell games.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a much bigger armory. You're a secret agent in Splinter Cell, and you can defend yourself. But the real satisfying aspect of those types of things is being able to get in and get out, achieve your goals, and not have anybody know you were there.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget which game, whether it was Splinter Cell or maybe in Hitman, where if you completed the level, you'd get a ghost, like you ghosted that level. I
Mhm.
thought that was really cool, being like, oh yeah, like no one knew.
That was Dishonored, and then Thief 2014, or
No one knew you were there. I think it was so
also Hitman maybe, but I don't think it was in Splinter Cell.
satisfying and really difficult. Like you really had to, memorize guard patterns and again, expressing you could do it a number of ways. That's the beauty of these immersive sims, is that you can go loud, you can go quiet, you can go this way, you can go that way. What do you going into this? And I know we're still early in development, but Daniel, what's the goal in this? Is it a straight preservation? Is it something?
That is something I was wondering, because when they say we are still early in development, doesn't it say it will come this winter? Isn't it supposed? No, it's to be announced, but it says coming this winter here. So how can they be in early development? Of course, I don't know how how a remaster like this works, how many people are working on it, because they have different projects in the making. So what does early development mean? Of course, they don't have to build the game from the ground up, so maybe it's doable until winter. Let's hope.
More? Can you just walk me through that a little bit of your thought process?
So yeah, there's a large element of preservation to it. So we're not wanting to, as with a lot of Night Dive games in the past, we're not looking to change the core experience of the game. But we are looking in ways that we can improve things from a control perspective. So there may be some elements of the UI that have not aged particularly well in terms of maybe using items or just navigating through the beginning menu system.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And so we've taken a lot of cues to condense a lot of this down into something that still gives you the same amount of information while being a little bit more presentable, I think. We also have a new system in there for changing weapons and items. So in the game before, you would either have to know what the button was on the keyboard and press that key to bring up the weapon. So 4 for water arrows, etc., etc. Or you could cycle through them individually. But these days, we have the quality of life aspects that we want. And so the first thing that I wanted to do for the game was introduce a weapon wheel into the game. So you hold a button down, you're able to very quickly choose what weapon or item or tool you want to use, and you just get it straight away.
And I think especially for the inventory, I think the weapon thing, of course, for let's say thief veteran players is easy, because I think that's muscle memory. But going through items in some missions, I've just seen it now that I'm replaying the Thief 2X. It doesn't have lockpicks, but it has this hairpin. And this hairpin, of course, is not like a standard inventory object. So, as far as I know, I cannot put it on one of my F keys, because F1 and F2 are my lockpicks in general. And then F3 is the compass, and F4 is a flash bomb, and so on. But now I can't do that with like Thief 2X, for example. So it's annoying that I always have to cycle through until the hairpin comes up. And sometimes, you want to quickly open the door before God comes around the corner. And I think a wheel would be awesome. What I'm wondering is, because he's just talking about a weapon wheel, but I also assume there's an inventory wheel. But there are missions, especially fan missions, that have so many objects sometimes. How do they arrange? Does this weapon or inventory wheel evolve? The more objects you get, like maybe the parcels get smaller, or you get like a second row or something like that. That would be really interesting. And how do they do it? Is it then because, in fan missions, the objects can vary from totally different things, new objects that have not been in the original games. So are they represented just by the 3D model, like now in the normal Thief game we know, or how does it work? I think that is very interesting. I'm really interested in how that works in detail.
And just playing about with this myself, I find that it is so much more convenient and so much quicker to be able to just very quickly choose what you want to use. And I think that will make a great deal of difference when it comes to playing the game.
Yeah, I think, if you know what you have to press, especially with weapons, I think that is not an issue, and you won't be quicker than clicking a button. But I think especially for consoles, and that is the big thing, that Thief will be available on consoles for the first time, or the Thief 1. That, of course, is a big improvement with the weapon wheel. Yeah.
And getting through those very tricky situations where you're being approached by someone and you've got to lockpick through a door really quickly, but you don't have to cycle through your pockets to find your square tooth lockpick or your triangle tooth lockpick. You quickly open the weapon wheel, you throw the mouse to the left to get the square lockpick, or you throw it to the right to get the triangle lockpick, and you can very quickly.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay, so yeah, but how does it work with additional objects?
And easily navigate between those.
Or for like maybe standard objects, they have the weapon wheel, like flash bombs and gas mines or whatnot. And for additional objects that can vary a lot, maybe then they have like an inventory system, a normal inventory that you can bring up.
2 elements, so you can get through that particular challenge quickly. And we've thought about how to group those items, and just a lot of stuff. And there's plans for some more subtle things like that going forward in the game.
I'm going to be a contrarian here, Daniel. Did you think
Oh,
for a moment that was part of the original design? Is that as a thief, you'd have this bag of just stuff?
Okay, yeah. But it feels that way. And I think that was a discussion on TTLG once where someone asked, like, how does Garrett's, inventory actually work? Because he's wearing or carrying around like tons of stuff. And someone came up with the idea, and he said, I always imagined Garrett's bag to be magical. That it is like a portal into a dimension, that Garrett is basically carrying with, and so the objects are not actually physically in that bag, but they are like stored somewhere else. But Garrett can pull them out later when he's back home.
Figure out what it is.
You can still cycle if you want. If you want to do that, you can totally do that if you want. Not taking anything away, but yeah, if you fancy the convenience, then it's there for you. But we're not forcing you to use it.
Well,
So you can struggle if you want, Steve. The next time you play, you can struggle if you like.
I want the real thief experience.
Yeah, he's talking like a lot of commentators on Reddit and stuff.
when Night Dive's remastering a game, what's the line between sort of restoration and reinvention? I know that's a lot, kind of the same question of like, but preservation versus something more. But describe that in your words, or in the company's words, or however you want to take it.
Sure. So I'm going to start from some recent comments that I read.
Please.
Where we'll release like a trailer, right? Or
Sure.
something like that, and people will be able to see the game. And there's always going to be a comment that says, why would I pay this amount of money for just an up-res mod pack?
Yeah.
Exactly. I think we had something in the chat sounding the same yesterday when we recorded the Tefes talk. Yeah. And it's a bit more, but I can understand. I think what some people say is like, hey, compared to System Shock and other Turok or whatever, Thief, has been very well preserved by the community, and especially with New Dark, that actually, improved the game a lot in many ways. So, what is the purpose of a Thief remaster, an official one? And I think that's very important that they are able to explain that to people.
That's on every game we do. It's on
Yeah.
every game, and I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it always makes me smile. Like I don't get upset about it. There's no point.
Yeah.
But there's so much that goes into a Night Dive remaster. And because preservation is such an important part of all this, that it's almost a compliment in a way, because the people that are familiar with the game or may not be familiar can't even tell the difference between the original, unless, of course, they're back to back.
Mhm.
But like that first impression, somebody thinking that we didn't do anything at all, it's like almost the highest form of flattery, because we don't cross that line where it looks like something that we came up with or we designed, or we didn't need to put our fingerprints on something that is like this, because it's a classic for a reason. We want to make sure that it's the game that you remember playing, but not necessarily the same game that you did play. And so when you do,
Yeah, I think a Thief remaster could actually be very interesting for people who didn't play the game since the release, but are like, oh yeah, let's replay that. And I think then it works, because then the game looks like they remember it, not how it really looked. Because in our memory, of course, it always looks better, because back in the days it looked really great. Somehow. And then there's maybe people who are really like, no, I cannot play with these old graphics. So this upgrade is then maybe a good compromise to bring them back to the series. And I think more people among the community is always a good thing, no matter if they're totally new to the series or like coming back. But I think it's really great, nice to have. You don't have to buy it, you don't have to play with it, but I think it's nice to have. And it's so great that after so many years, our favorite game gets such a dedicated overhaul, I would say.
you see a lot of the, I'll speak to the modeling and the texturing. When you see the models back and forth, it's like, of course, there's a huge difference, but your mind kind of fills in the gaps.
Yeah, it's the rose tinted glasses thing. It's just like everything was perfect back when I played, but then when you boot it up and you're like, ooh, this don't look so great right now.
Right. Like you probably didn't remember that the guards had triangle feet, or
Yeah. In the first game.
There was just so many, or I should say, so few polygons used, and it was a technical limitation at the time. It
Totally.
wasn't like an artistic choice. I think they did the best with what they had, but we look at that and we try to imagine what they would have done if they had, the technology today, or at least the performance, right? We don't feel like it's necessary to go in and add detail where there wasn't any before, but we'll clean up the detail that was intended.
Yeah, I
It's
really like.
also-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry. Yeah, it's also not just inside the game itself, but there's elements outside the game as well. So trying to run the original Thief, if you were to grab a copy secondhand and try to run it on a modern Windows PC, good luck. Unless you use the things that the community have made, you aren't going to get that game running And if you do, it's going to be in maybe maximum 800 by 600 resolution,
That's not true.
and it's going to have
Or does he mean without the tools? Okay.
16-bit lighting and all the other limitations of the time, which I think people may forget about a lot of these old remasters that we do. Whereas now, not only can you play it at 4K at wild frame rates that they haven't even thought about back then, but there's also the talk about consoles. Like, the game is on console now, whereas the game was previously only on PC. It's now on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. You can go and play it there as well. So, and the work that we do there, just from finding the source code to whatever we can and getting it integrated into our Kex engine is always, a really, really tough task, because there's no set way of doing code back then in the 90s. It was just, we're going to code this thing, and every single studio had a different way of doing it. So every time we get a project, we always have to.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Stephen Kick said. It's not just an HD mod. There's a lot of work in the background to be done. I cannot, because I don't have the technical knowledge how it works to put this engine into the Kex engine. I'm still amazed by the Oblivion remaster, that they the original code is running in the background, but all the graphics are put into Unreal, and I think this is like a similar thing somehow. Yeah, that's not for me, but to understand. But yeah, I get what he says.
Completely relook over everything in that code and then translate it over into the Kex engine for it to work properly. So it's not just inside the game, but I do believe a massive, massive chunk of it is outside the game as well. And that's not even touching on the multiplayer side of things as well. If your game has multiplayer, then you need to move it to a new API, a new layer there that talks with modern consoles. It's not just direct IP connecting anymore. You've got to do all this other work. So there's a huge amount of effort both on the art side and the programming side as well that I'm just in awe of. Every time I step into a project and look at these things, I go, wow, you guys are absolutely incredible. You knock it out of the park every time, and I'll do what I can to kind of guide you in the right direction, but you guys just nail it every time. So it's always impressive.
Yeah, I really enjoy just like lurking in the art channel and seeing what they're doing in there, and like, oh man, look at that cool. Look at how good that lantern looks. Look at how good that new model looks. Like, hey, I figured out the statue. Like, it's insane. And again, when you do put it side to side, it's just like, it's night and day of what has changed. And that's only on the texturing and modeling level, not to mention the sound and audio, right? Like,
I'm wondering how they will improve that. I think that is one of the biggest concerns.
That's all being redone.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
And the cutscenes as well. We have the original. We have one of the original artists back who did work on the original game, and
I wonder who that might be. Daniel? Who do you mean, Daniel?
When you look at the cutscenes before, again, they're in a very low resolution. They have a limited frame rate. But now, we have the original artist back, and he's really, really helping us nail down that look. So it looks the same, but just 4K, so much better. The animation is smoother. I don't think there would be anybody, and I'm making a bold prediction by saying this, I don't think anybody would be unhappy with what we're doing. I'm looking at the works in progress now.
Oh, you're talking about a community, about offer 30-year-old game. Don't underestimate their criticism. They will find it in anything. But I am so much looking forward to high resolution cutscenes. I love that. Why not? What is bad about it? Like in 16:9, 4K. Yes, be my guest. Even though I don't have a 4K monitor, but that doesn't count.
I'm going, wow,
Yeah.
that looks really cool. I
Yeah.
think people are going to like that. And if I am thinking that, I think a lot of people are going to think that as well.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, if Dan's not happy, no one's happy. So.
Well, it's so handy to have someone as, you know, their favorite game or one of their favorite games on the project, because then you know it's coming from a place of love, it's coming from a place of passion, and that's when the best work gets done. And it's, you're making decisions based on how you remember it. And again, to go back to your point, Stephen, the maturity that you guys have acquired of doing this for so long, that goes a long way, because you're not just like,
I think we can probably be happy that this is not one of the early projects, because the experience, of course, will uh, be an advantage. So yeah, it's probably a good time, and I'm happy that they first did System Shock, so they could already figure out the engine, its basics, and I believe that Thief can only benefit from that.
upresing textures, you're saying, okay, what can we do to make this game the best experience? And again, the like mod pack analogy or comment, it's like, bitch, like no one on Switch, Xbox, or
Did he just say bitch?
comment, it's like, bitch, like no one on Switch, Xbox, or PlayStation are installing a mod. Like, get out of here. Like,
Did he just call a theoretical fan who criticizes things bitch and said get out of here? Ooh. I'm not taking it personal because I'm not this theoretical commentator, but some people might take this as an offense. Not a good look, in my opinion, as a moderator.
it's a convenience. When at the end of the day, you're paying for convenience, which as a grown ass adult,
Don't get me wrong, I have nothing about profane language. Just yesterday I said I'm not shitting on games and stuff, but this is a professional outlet here, so I don't know. It's I'm not pro corporate stylization, but I don't know. It's something feels off.
happy to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let me play this on my couch and not have to worry about anything. That's how I want to experience these games.
It just gave me a really good idea for a simulator game. It should just be called PC Mod Simulator,
Yeah.
where you download fictional old games and you have to go and find patches and things to just try
Yeah, that's a cool answer.
run. And if you can do it, it's
Yeah.
that's the whole goal. But then
Yeah.
you don't,
No,
which
no.
is what a lot of us do.
I mean, I got Stalker looking so good. Fallout New Vegas, all the mission, and then you're
Yeah.
just like, okay, that took me 6 hours to get this game to where I want it, and now I got to go to bed.
I just recently installed GTA 4 to replay it, and modding it, that took a while, and then it didn't run. And then I had to reinstall everything, and now I'm playing on vanilla. Yeah.
So
That was all my free time, and I'm not going to play it now. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely comes down to convenience.
But I have to say, updating Thief with the fan patches is very easy. So to the people who created those chef's kiss, I think that is really not a struggle to do that. You just have to download the Tavern Patcher or the sneaky upgrade for Thief 3, and I think they make it very easy for you. And they even give you options when you install it. Yeah, and then Angel Loader, I think, is in my opinion the best mission loader. Yeah, that's our community did great jobs with all these tools and patches and whatnot.
This is quite open-ended question, but what's the biggest change in your opinion or improvement players are going to notice right away, and what's going to be something that they might not notice right away, guys?
That's a good question. I'm interested in the answer.
Yeah, Dan, I'll let you answer that.
Sure.
Well, I think it would be, yeah, going back to the quality of life things that we were talking about. So the weapon wheel to be able to change things very quickly on the fly. But I think another one that I think particularly PC players will appreciate is well, taking a look at a lot of the fan campaigns that came out over the
Ooh, now we come to the interesting stuff.
plus 20 years that that the game has been out. And there's been a very dedicated community that have created all sorts of wonderful additions to the game, and a lot of that has not gone unnoticed. I'm very much aware of the scene behind the Thief fan mission community, and so I think compatibility.
I think that is a very important sentence for some TEFers, because I think often when something like that happens, the community feels left out or unseen. Like, don't they know what we're thinking and what's going on, and that they know. And I think NIGHTDIVE knows how to handle these things because they have the experience with different games and different communities. And they got a lot of approval, so they must be doing something right. But I think that it's very important that a community feels recognized when such an installment or remaster comes on. I think, for example, also in the Oblivion remaster, they left in the broken dialogues. There were wrong files added to the game, and they let that in because for fans that is like that belongs to the game, even if it was a mistake. But it's it's not game breaking or anything. It's just a beloved mistake in the production, but that is an Easter egg people love, and yeah, so the balance is very important.
With those is extremely important, and that's what we're working on very, very heavily to make sure that when you buy a copy of the game on PC, you'll be able to very easily and very quickly be able to get set up with whatever fan mission you would like to play.
I'm really wondering how this will work. I cannot imagine with all these fan missions. Of course, there will be some missions that won't work. But I'm really wondering how they will achieve this. How do you load Thief 2X, Black Parade, different missions into that? That's if they achieve that, then they are they brought a great addition to the community.
And we're doing our best to make sure that we have a good compatibility across the board with everything that we can test, given the time that we have. There's a lot of content out there, but we're doing our best. And obviously now, the big one in the room is the Black Parade. It was a huge campaign that came out in 2023. It won ModDB's #1 mod of the year, I think, that year.
Yep.
And just by looking at people's
And they released in December. Thinking of that,
reactions to our announcement, I then noticed that they will talk about, oh, I can't wait to see how the Black Parade runs in this. And so I knew this would be a thing that people would be wanting right from the very beginning, and the reactions to the announcement have kind of proved that I wasn't wrong there in that. So yeah, we're working as quickly and as thoroughly as we can to make sure that compatibility is there for the things that people want to play.
but I read it as it's not promised that it's there from the beginning, right? Which is not a bad thing, but better leave it in the oven until it really works. But to achieve that, I think that is really hard. But I really appreciate that they are trying to implement that, because, and that is, that shows how they recognize the community, because they know maybe nowadays the biggest pillar of Thief are the fan missions. That's what kept it running until now. And they know that this fan base, this installment, they need to catch us. And that is the pillar, the base for more success. Maybe, that's, yeah. For me, so far, it sounds good. I'm not someone who's blinded by corporate answers in interviews, but I think this goes in the right direction. At least it feels like that.
Amazing. What what's one level you show to somebody who hasn't played this game? What level you showing them? I don't know them off by heart, Daniel, so I might defer to you.
Ooh. I would say,
Let's guess. Of course, Constantine's Manor, I would say. What is a possibility? Maybe he says Beffords. I don't think he says the Maw or something like that. I would say Constantine's.
if the Thief, the Dark Project, it would be possibly
Sword.
the Mage Towers.
What? Ugh.
How
think
far
the
into the
mage-
game is that?
That's about halfway through.
Okay.
You have your
The
objective.
Mage Towers. Okay, forget everything I said about they don't know shit. The Mage Towers. Yeah. Or maybe the sewers, the Thieves Guild, right? That level is very beloved by fans. I would say play that as a entry. Or maybe the Lost City would, if that would have been the demo back then, I would have loved Thief even more.
And you're setting out to fulfill that objective for the client. And the Mage Towers, I think, is one of those maps that
It's awful with jumping and platforming elements. If they could fix that mission, then kudos to them.
has a nice look to it, but it also has interesting gameplay aspects.
Oh, what did I do? What is okay?
And it's just again another one of those huge open levels that you can really use your tools to your advantage. And it's a long level. If you're not familiar with it, it can take you maybe about 2 hours to finish if you're looking for all of the secrets and the treasure in it. But that's probably one of the first ones I would show off, and that was part of Thief Gold, so that wasn't in the Dark Project base game.
Right.
That was in the Thief Gold re-release, which is fully in the Dark Project. If anybody has any confusion about that, the Dark Project Remastered has the Thief Gold content in there, so we haven't forgotten about that in any way.
Good.
Steven, do you have a favorite level? Have you been playing this, or you just been watching from afar?
I like to let the team cook.
Yeah.
They've always had my full trust. And I experience the game usually for the first time after it comes out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's interesting.
I can kind of share into that experience. This might be a little bit different though. I think Dan, like when we're, I go to him like, hey, is it ready? Can I play it? What's
chomping at the bit.
Can I give without like being meddling?
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I'm acutely aware of is, my suggestions, they carry a lot of weight sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily want to interfere.
Yeah. Does your involvement, Steve, or does your relationship with the development change when you're working with someone like Eidos? Do you have to be?
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
That middleman, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I interact with them directly.
Mm-hmm.
We share builds and like the key art, and we get recommendations and suggestions, feedback from them on how they want to see things. And every partner that we work with is different in terms of, their level of trust and
Mhm.
their expectations. And I would definitely say that IDOS Montreal has been probably the easiest ones to work with.
Nice.
They're real big fans of the work that we've done in the past, and I think we were on the short list when it came to picking a developer to take on something like this. And
Yeah.
so, we've approached them with all of our ideas and some things that we're doing that we haven't announced yet. And they were very, very enthusiastic
Don't do that.
about that. And so it's definitely a partnership and a relationship that we see growing and expanding and hopefully bringing a lot of love and attention back to Thief.
I just wanted to give you the opportunity. Was it, if there's anything you're excited about sharing or anything I missed?
That's how you end a podcast. Last words from the guests.
Definitely to what Stephen spoke about. Yeah, we have things in the works that I'm really excited to talk about, but not right now. But again, I just thank everyone. Usually I take this time to thank everyone who plays our re-releases, and just seeing the reaction to the announcement was really something special. Like moments like that don't come along very often. They're quite rare, but once they do, it's always a really, really nice feeling to have. And so thanks for everyone who plays our games and continues to support us in that regard. And I'm looking forward to putting out another quality release that I think everybody that can be proud of.
Yeah, everything I've played thus far has been just awesome. And I know we're just a fraction of the way there. And like I said before, when I was recording for the trailer, it was just like, even that weapon wheel, searching for the keys, that helped. And it's really coming along to being something special. So I wanted to thank both of you just for taking time out of your day to chat about Thief. I know we're all excited about this. We're going to talk lots more about Thief as we develop it more and more.
There's actually a certain podcast you guys could come on, and discuss with real fans.
Other than that, Stephen, any other final words for people on Thief?
No, just stay tuned. There's a lot more fun coming.
Amazing.
He always looks as he's high when he's smiling. I like that.
Well, thanks again, guys, for joining me on this deep dive for Thief: The Dark Project Remastered. That's what it's called, Daniel? Yeah?
Yeah.
Remaster Thief.
Yep.
What's the acronym? TT...
TTDPR, I think.
Yeah, TTDPR. All right.
Okay, let's keep that in mind. TTDPR is the thing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you again, guys, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you again, guys, for joining me. I think that was interesting. What triggered me the whole time is that the logo here, goes a bit over that line. Disgusting stuff. But yeah, I'm very optimistic about this. Of course, they teased us with, at the end now that there is still things they didn't announce, and then that smile. But that's a cool thing. I think what this release does is like, it creates some excitement finally. The Black Parade created some excitement, or a lot of excitement among the community. And I think that we get this now, wakes people up a bit. And it's really, really cool to see that release on the horizon. So yes, I think the remaster is in good hands. I think this Daniel Grayson, I think you say, knows his Thief, and if he's like in that important role for the game to ship, I'm optimistic. And let's see what else will happen. And let's hope for a release this winter. So thanks for watching. Check the other stuff out and see you soon, Teffers. Bye-bye.
Inside at last.